Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on a dream come true. It's a quote from Grandmaster Alexandra Kosenyuk from round 7 of the FIDE Grand Swiss, with places in the candidates tournaments in both the Open and Women's World Championship up for grabs. In this video we're going to look at the game from Alexandra Kosenyuk against Zhu Jiner. Let's first listen to Alexandra Kosenyuk in her interview after the game.
Well, she misplayed in the opening because she let me play c4 and d5, and since I already have two bishops advantage, it's like a dream come true for white in this line. And normally black chooses another move order in order to make this c4 d5 plan harder to reach. So she clearly misplayed, and then I just had a very pleasant position, and then she blundered a pawn, so it was quite an easy game.
Kosenyuk was white and opened with the d-pawn. Grandmaster Alexandra Kosenyuk is 37 years old and is the women's world champion from 2008 to 2010. Knight f6 was the first move from her opponent. Women's Grandmaster Zhu Jiner is from China, is 18 years old. In 2016 she was the under 14 girls world champion. c4, let's put the opening moves on the board. Black is playing the Nimzo Indian defense. Let's go to move 9. c5, and now knight e2 was played by Kosenyuk. Knight f3 is the alternative. After knight e2, queen c7 was played, and that is threatening to take on d4. Then white cannot recapture because the bishop would then be hanging. Bishop d3 is an option, but bishop a2 was played by Kosenyuk to take that tactic out of the position. Knight c6, castling, b6, c4, rook d8, and the bishop went to b2, to the long diagonal, and now knight a5, and that is not a good move. The engine says that black should have taken on d4 here, because after knight a5, white plays d4, d5, and something has gone wrong for black already. As Grandmaster Anna Muzichuk explained in a live broadcast, sometimes white plays d5 as a pawn sacrifice, and then it can become dangerous for black. But in this version, white gets to keep the pawn on d5. Knight e4 was played, rook c1, and knight d6. Please note that all black's pieces are on the queen side apart from her king. No surprise that Kosenyuk has her eyes on a king side attack. Knight g3, queen e7, e4, and now bishop a6, and that is also a bad move. Black has already got a bad position, but should have tried something with f6 and then e5 to at least blunt the white bishops. But bishop a6 was played. Queen g4, that's already threatening checkmate on g7. e5, this is the blunder of a pawn Kosenyuk was talking about. f4, you cannot take that pawn because that checkmate is still there. After f4, black played queen d7, offering a trade of queens. Knight f5 with another checkmate threat again on g7. Knight takes and e takes. Taking with the pawn, not allowing black to trade queens. f6, and now Kosenyuk took on e5. And once more. White is a pawn up and has a strong attack. The black minor pieces on the a file are a sad sight. And again, all black's pieces are on the queen side, not supporting the king. Rook f8 was played now. And white would love to push f6, but that's not immediately possible as the queen would be hanging. So queen g3 was played, rook f7, and now f6. g6 from Jiner. Black needs to try and keep the lines closed against her king. Rook f4, a nice rook lift, getting the rook into the attack. Rook e8, rook e1, protecting the bishop. King h8, and rook f2 e4. And now look at this side move, knight b7, trying to get the knight back into the game. But it is too late. Bishop b1, all Kosenyuk's pieces are into the attack now. b5, this counterplay is much too late and much too slow. Rook h4, and rook g8, and here Alexandra Kostyniuk missed a nice mate in 3 moves. If you want to put the video on pause and look for yourself if you can find it. If you find it, you play better than a former women's world champion. She could have decided the game on the spot with rook takes h7 check. Very nice. You have to take, and then f7 is check from the bishop on e5 to the king on h8. And there are 2 variations. You can play rook h2 g7, but then this is checkmate. And if you interpose the other rook like this, then you can promote to a queen or a rook, and this is also checkmate. So that's possible after rook g8, but instead Kostyniuk played bishop takes g6. And that's also a good move because it caused her opponent to resign. After 31 moves, Zhu Jiner threw in the towel. And why did she resign? Well, let's first look at what white is threatening. If it was white to move here after bishop takes g6, then rook takes h7 check comes again. You have to take f7 check, we saw that already, and we get the same variations. Rook h to g7, queen h4 is checkmate, and rook g to g7 instead, then we promote to a queen. And it turns out that after bishop takes g6 there is no defense against that combination. Let's look at one example. If you play queen d8 to at least have another piece protecting the back rank, then rook takes h7 check comes anyway. Rook takes, f7 check, we see it again. Rook g to g7, bishop takes, king takes, bishop h5 check. Now the queen gives check to the king. And if you go to h6, there is queen g6 checkmate. And if instead you go to h8, then we see rook e8 check. Queen has to take, and checkmate after all. Quite a massacre, this game. Black made a few inaccurate moves after the opening, and then she was steamrolled. Alexandra Kostyniuk made this look very easy. And these are the standings after 7 of the 11 rounds played. We have 1 leader in the women's section. Lei Tingjae has 6 points. Elizabeth Betts is half a point behind her, and we have 2 players a full point behind the leader, Alexandra Kostyniuk and Alina Kashlinskaya. There are 10 players on 4.5 points, 4 more rounds to go. In the open section we have also 1 leader. Alireza Firouzja was the only one to win on the top boards, and he has 5.5 points out of 7 games. 3 players half a point behind, Vasyla Graf, Sasi Kiran and good old Alexei Shirov. There are 28 players on 4.5 out of 7. All of them are also still very much in contention for the 2 spots in the candidates tournament. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.